Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah.
Was that a yes?
Yes, I am.
All right. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
Wait, hold on. I'm watching the stream right now. Am I doing this right?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume so.
Oh, I must be behind. That's my fault. I'm behind. Okay, yeah. Let me just turn the stream off.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Bryce. 22. He, him.
Rice, 22, he, him. Okay, Bryce.
B-R-Y-C, Bryce. Yeah.
What's up?
Just make sure you have the right spelling of my name.
B-R-Y-C-E? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bryce, which topic on the board did you want to talk about?
Pro-choice.
Okay, what about it?
I just want to hear your stance on it, so that way, we can see what we agree and disagree on.
Yeah, sure. I believe that a person has the right to remove a fetus from their body at any point. Prior to 24 weeks, you can remove it in any way you want to. After 24 weeks, I just believe it should be removed in a way that is accordance with prioritizing the life of the fetus. You can still take it out, just keep it alive as best you can.
Okay, so can we get a basis of what your main disagreement with the pro-life argument is?
Because I don't see any justification to why a person must maintain the life of a fetus if they don't want to.
Okay, so you can, but you acknowledge that a fetus. Well, I'll keep your, name of the fetus. That a fetus is a human being, like. Oh, okay. So so let's develop the basis of when you think life begins. So that way we're not with different definitions. When do you think life begins?
Like, what type of life? Like, when do I think human life begins? One could argue it never ends.
Sure, yeah.
because sperm and eggs are both alive. So one could like make the argument that human life is never not existing.
Wait, I've never heard that, honestly. Wait, can you repeat that?
Well, if we're asking when human life begins, and all we're saying about what makes a human life is human cells that are living, you can make the argument that human life never ends because there is no point. There's like no point of beginning. It becomes a chicken and egg scenario because sperm and eggs are both alive.
Okay, I mean, I've watched you for a while. That's pretty cynical. I should have expected that, I guess. But, okay, so...
Congratulations. Shamers Unite Redeem Prize.
Okay, so you would believe in, only certain, moralities. Okay, so that's kind of really cynical. I don't know how to find a common ground then, because I don't think I've ever heard that.
It's cynical to say that human life is in, a constant state of living? That's cynical?
Yeah, because, I mean, most of the time people either have their morals defined by the collective or by religious values, but I've never heard that take. So,
what's cynical about the take that human beings are always living? What's cynical about that?
Well, I don't see a moral basis that you can expand that off of, that we're always living. So
why would
nobody dies
when you
get put into a grave?
Wait. Why would us be? Why? No, just that human life doesn't have a begin point. But why would us being alive be? Why does us living have to equate to some moral stance? I would say us being alive is just an amoral thing.
The debate of abortion is a moral debate.
I agree. I agree. Abortion is a moral debate.
Right. Okay. So, can you just help me understand so when conception occurs, you don't think the life begins?
It just depends on how you're defining life, because technically there was a life before conception. The sperm and the egg are both alive, so it just depends on what you mean by life. Are you asked when does
new life? Because when the sperm and the egg meet, conception occurs, and then you have a new set of genes. That is a new.
You don't have a new set of genes.
Brought into the world. Right. Well, when the genes combine, they create a new person.
Sure. We're just asking when that individual begins. Sure. Conception. Sure.
Okay. So if we can get that basis that a new person, a new being is created at conception, can we agree on that?
Sure.
Okay, so if that life happens at conception, then why is it okay? Because I'm a Christian, so but I can also debate this from a collective moral belief that we've developed in the United States for even though a lot of our moral values here in the United States are, most of what Christianity stands for too, like thou shalt not kill. I mean, it's in laws. You can't murder somebody, right? So why?
Well, hold on. What do you think? What is murder?
What is murder?
Yep.
I mean, the killing of somebody.
No.
No.
No, murder is not just when you kill someone. Murder is specifically an unjustified killing. So again, I don't view abortion as an unjustified killing. I view it as a justified killing. You're justified because you're removing something from using your bodily resources if you don't want it to. So therefore, I believe that
so you would
killing is
agree
justified.
with that parasite buzzword. You would use that in your arguments. Then
I would not call a fetus a parasite because by definition a parasite must be of a different species. But I would absolutely say it's a parasitic relationship. The fetus takes way more than it gives. So the nature of the relationship can be parasitic.
Okay. So you don't believe that a fetus has any moral value?
I don't grant a fetus moral consideration until it's sentient, no.
Okay, when do you believe sentience occurs then?
24 weeks.
When do you think it was? 24 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So we're going to have to disagree on but I'll come to you on your basis so that way we can further debate, but we're going to disagree on the when life occurs stuff.
Well, we're not disagreeing. But we're not disagreeing on when life occurs. I already said life can occur at conception. I don't care. It has no basis in my argument when a life begins, because I don't believe that we value things based on just them being living.
I know I should have reworded that. Because we both agree that life occurs at conception. However, I believe that moral value gets placed on being when conception occurs, while you do not.
Sure. What about conception grants a being moral consideration?
Well, as soon as a being comes into this world, it has moral value, especially because it's an innocent being.
I'm asking you why.
Why?
Like, I already know that you believe that it gets.
I've already said I'm a Christian, so.
Okay, but I thought you said you were going to debate this from a non-religious standpoint.
Yes, but okay, fine. In our laws, whenever somebody's innocent until proven guilty. So right. So the pro-choice argument just already
wait. Are we arguing based on what is legal and what is not? I thought we were having an argument about morality. Your moral system can't be based on what is legal, right? That would just be silly because you'd have to concede that slavery was moral.
No, but I mean, okay, yes, I see how. Yes, okay, fine. But I figured it would be helpful to include, examples of how, laws could possibly kind of just break down this pro-choice argument, so that way.
Well, but if we're having an argument based on legality, then it would just be about whoever's laws are intact, right? I would say, well, if I'm in New York, you have, or I could even go even further. If I'm in Canada, I have the legal right to have an abortion at any time. So my argument actually upholds. Or we can have a moral argument, which is
we're talking about in the United States here. So, because we can't control what other countries do, but the more we talk about this in the United States, change can happen, whether for your side or my side, right? So, when it comes to what I was saying earlier about the laws, I just figured since you don't place much moral value when conception occurs, then
yes, why should
I could have argued.
That's what I've been asking you. I've been asking you to justify why moral consideration should be placed at conception.
Because you agreed that life occurs at conception.
Yes, we don't value all life.
So any innocent, right? So why should you place moral value? Okay, so because any life is equal, so it doesn't matter if the being that was created at conception or anybody walking down the street who hasn't done anything in their life, they're both innocent people. So if they were killed, if they were murdered by this, we're using that same word, murdered, because they were innocent people, then it's the equal action. So if you agree that anybody on the street getting murdered is immoral, then you should agree that, an abortion at any time should be immoral.
Okay. So we're going to need to break down a few things here first. Why is it
All right, got it.
immoral to kill another person?
Why is it immoral to kill another person?
Yes. Why is it wrong?
Like, do you just want me to, like, say what we all agree on, or, like, do you think it's not, or do you just want to?
I think there are tons of
Like, have
instances
me-
where it's not wrong to kill other people. Yeah.
Oh no, I mean I totally agree with that. But
Okay.
real quick,
So
I mean,
then, why is it wrong to kill? Right? What there?
it's
If we're
wrong to kill an innocent person.
why?
That's the bit, because it's taking the life of another being who's
Yep,
done
that-
no wrong. I mean,
Wait.
that's
That's just
ending-
restating. That's just restating the question. I'm asking you the why.
This is a really surprising take. I'm sorry,
Well,
I'm kind of just.
I'm not
baffled.
making
I
a
mean,
take.
I knew,
Hold on. I'm not making a take, right? I may agree with you that it's wrong to kill an innocent person. I'm asking you the why. I'm asking you to justify these moral beliefs that we as people have, right? There's a reason why it is wrong to do a certain
because
thing.
everybody values their own life, and if you're a good person, you should value the life of others, right? So if you have no problem with taking somebody's life that they value, like, that's an immoral thing, right? Living is good. Everybody. Well, if you want to live, of course. But
Does a
keeping this in-
does a 2-month-old baby value its life? They don't have the brain capacity to understand or to value anything. So like that
Right,
would
but
just
like I
that would just
said-
be kind of weird, right?
Like I said, okay, well, I was talking about, like, life has value,
Why?
like you would because if somebody values their own, like, because, okay, of course a 2-month-old wouldn't be able to value their own life because
Okay,
they
so
don't
then
understand.
so then
things yet.
if the question
But because
if the
other
hold
people,
on, Bryce.
Yeah, go
You,
ahead, go
you
ahead.
have to recognize
go
then
ahead.
that this is a failing argument. If the argument is we shouldn't kill creatures because we value our lives, therefore we know if we value our
Well, I
lives.
didn't say creatures.
Oh,
Human
okay, so
beings.
hold on. You made the claim earlier that taking of innocent life is you don't believe killing animals is the taking of innocent life.
No.
What would be the symmetry breaker here? Why are humans valuable but animals are not?
Well, I didn't say they're not valuable, but if you think about it,
Why do they
we're
not have moral
animals, too.
consideration?
So we can't like separate ourselves from animals, right? But when we're taken into the context of the United States and humanity as a whole, we animals all kill each other. So do you think a tiger killing whatever like a lion killing a gazelle or something? Do you think that's immoral? Well,
No.
I guess probably not because well,
No, because I don't believe that. I don't believe
it's the
that.
natural course of nature.
Well, no, I don't believe it's
Right.
immoral because I don't believe that lions have a complex moral system. So they can't put moral weight on their own decisions. Right?
Sure. So, I mean, yes, you are correct. But, well, yeah, and then furthering that, so humans, back like ages ago, when, we were basically in the spot of the lions and we were hunting the animals, right? Do you think we could place moral value? Because, all we knew was just survival, right? So,
Yeah, I think that you will find a point in time throughout human evolution where we have the ability to place moral value, and at that point, I would start judging us morally. I probably wouldn't judge us morally
okay, so
before
what,
then
what
because we
point in
didn't have
time do you think we were able to place moral value on things?
probably around the same time that we started using language. Early civilizations. Okay. I don't know the exact time. Probably like 10,000 years ago, give or take.
Okay, but I mean, that's kind of flawed, right? Because tens of thousands, probably not that long. But you know what I mean? Like, we had slavery, which is terrible, immoral. I mean, you shouldn't own another human being. We had,
slavery has always been immoral. There's never been a time in human history where slavery was not immoral.
Right, exactly. But human beings back in those ages, I mean, there was no consideration of that. They didn't care.
Well,
So,
hold on.
Go ahead.
Humans knew it was immoral. There were humans that knew it was immoral, right? And then there were humans that justified it, right? I mean, you said you're Christian, right? The Bible justifies slavery. Literally says slavery's chill. So like, I don't know what the argument is here.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna debate on the Bible because, well, you don't, but I mean, like, I'm not, Cliff. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but I'm not some Bible scholar. I should probably study it more, and that's on me. But let's go back to the abortion thing. So,
Sure.
let's
You
see if
still
we can
need
just
to.
find a better basis on.
Well, it's not about finding a better basis. You need to justify your position, right? You were saying that abortion is always wrong, I'm assuming. Do you think, or let me just ask that question. Is abortion always wrong?
Yes. Yes.
Always. Why? Why is it wrong for someone to get an abortion?
Because the taking of an innocent life is murder.
Okay. Why? Why is it
Why is it
wrong?
murder?
Why is it wrong to take an innocent life?
This is kind of making me look ignorant, but to be honest, I've never had somebody like oppose me on the like.
Well, so I'm not opposing you.
Common ground.
Just asking you to justify this, right? Why is it wrong to take it to? Why is it wrong to kill? Why is killing wrong?
Can we just agree that I'm a little ignorant on how to develop this? But how do you agree that killing is wrong? So we can just agree on
that. Do I think killing is wrong? Yeah. Well, sometimes. Depends.
Yes. Oh, well, yes, but we already agree that, like you would agree that the death penalty is justified when, it is found that the person deserves to die because of their
no, I don't believe the state should have the ability to kill its people.
Oh, really? Wait, do you think any, form of government should be able to euthanize somebody?
No. I don't believe the state should have the power to kill its people. But
right, so
if you want to ask me, if you want
to,
no, the federal government would be the state. The state just means a larger incorporation of government. But if you're gonna, if you want me to explain to you the argument, I will, or not explain to you the argument. But if you want me to walk you through why, when we say that killing somebody is wrong, the reason why killing someone's wrong is it causes harm. So when we talk about killing, somebody is going to experience some negative effect of the killing, right? So whether that be they currently had a lived experience and that experience is now ended, whether it's they're going to experience harm via some sort of pain, whatever you want to say it, like basically having a negative effect on a person based on their interests. That's like, we're going to be looking at harm. Now, when I look at this, I go, because people have the ability to experience, because they can experience these harms, this makes killing wrong, right? Because I'm creating some adverse negative experience in a person. Now, my question would just be, when can people experience this thing? And it's going to be at around 24 weeks when they become sentient. When a person becomes sentient, they have the ability now to experience anything. They physically don't have the ability to experience prior to sentience. Like, it's just not something that we're capable of doing.
Okay, so do you think, like, just losing your life? Okay, so you would think the harm being done would be feeling pain, like feeling pain.
Pain is a part of experience, but it's not. You can experience things without pain. It's just that it's just the experience.
What else
it's the experience in general.
Would be the harm then?
The harm is the experience. The harm is like the loss of experience would be harm. That's why the killing is bad. We know that experiencing the world around you is a thing that keeps you alive and keeps you, well, in some levels you can say happy. But basically the negative experience is the bad.
Okay, so you were arguing. Okay, so you wouldn't count the loss of life as being harmful then?
Not inherently, no. And you don't either. You've already said, like, you're fine with eating animals, right? That's a loss of life. I assume you're fine with cutting your grass. That's a loss of life, right? Loss of life, but what we look at is, now me personally, I think we probably should all be vegan, right? I think
Okay.
like it just makes the most sense. Like if I'm going to say that humans can experience harm, well, animals can also experience harm, so it's probably best that we don't kill them. But like when we look at harm bad, like pretty utilitarian in this. I just see
Okay.
that like people are happier when they're not experiencing harm, right? Harm and uh the negatives that come from suffering, whereas there are, so if I'm killing something that doesn't experience, I don't see where the moral negative comes into play.
Okay.
To
So would you
me,
value?
oh, go
Is
ahead.
there any difference in value when you're taking into consideration humans and other life forms?
What do you mean?
I don't want this to devolve into like a gotcha thing, so just hear me out. Because I just want to know the full like uh, scope of your argument here. So when we're talking about like I appreciate the consistency. Um, you value all life the same it seems. So would you think that that humans have any value, whatever you want to determine by that, over any other life on this planet?
I don't think that we should. I don't think it's something that we ought do. I think it's just
Okay.
like there is an intelligence hierarchy that's like shown up, and I think that'll probably show up in most worlds. Like I just think that's sort of something that tends to
Yeah.
happen is like an intelligence hierarchy. But like
Right.
no, I think that when it comes to sentient life, when something is sentient, I believe it should be granted some level of rights. And because animals are sentient, I believe they should be granted the same rights that we're granted. Um, do I think that
Yeah. I mean, I
practically we
totally
can do
agree.
that
Like,
right
I
now?
mean,
No, I think it's kind of impractical to do at the moment, but
so could you repeat that?
uh, I just said I don't think it's practical to do right now. Like, I don't think we can like turn the world vegan like on a dime.
Oh yeah, no.
But yeah,
Yeah, but this is more of like a philosophical debate, so it's all good. But
but yeah, we probably ought be
yeah,
vegan. Like, we ought not kill
how to be,
animals.
yeah.
But
I
I
mean, I
think
appreciate
but I think
like
just a quick thing. I think there are times when it will be justified, right? This is where we get into the next phase of the argument, right? Like what is and
of
is
course.
not justified. So I would say like if I'm in the woods and I have no food and I catch a rabbit and I kill and eat that rabbit to survive, I'd say this is a justified killing. But I can all at the same time go like factory farming, probably not justified.
Well, okay, but factory farming sustains a large part of this. I don't believe in the animal cruelty part because I do acknowledge that there's a lot of animal cruelty that occurs at some of these factories. But let's just say that all factories, for the sake of philosophical, the debate, that all of these factories are perfectly fine and they're not harming animals and they're just being euthanized with like lethal injections and they don't feel any pain, right? And then they get
Well,
butchered
I would
in
still say they're
public.
being harmed because of the loss of the sentient experience.
Right, which is fair, it's consistent. I mean, it's basically what my argument is saying too, but just for humans. So, but that is still sustaining a large part of the population, even though we're not, Neanderthals out in the woods, killing these animals for survival. It's still sustaining, the United States, the world, anybody who eats these meats to survive.
Yeah,
Just because
I would just say
we're
that
more
like
civilized on a
I
large scale.
well, yeah, I would just say I've already talked about this. Like, it's impractical to move away from this, but like, I would say that like we probably are almost at the point, if not already there, where like we could sustain the population hunger wise without factory farming. I don't necessarily know
You
that
know
we
what?
would
I mean,
need factory farming to
I probably
sustain it.
agree with that. I mean, I can see in the future that we probably won't even need to kill animals, and it'll all be like, GMOs and stuff. We'll probably just grow our food in labs. But for the
The
time
thing I always
being,
ask, like let's say we have like a Star Trek level matter creator. Like I say, computer, make me a sandwich, and it makes me a sandwich.
yeah,
Blah blah. At like, if I killed an animal, you'd probably think I'm a fucking psychopath at that point, right? Because I'm not killing them for
yeah, I
food.
probably would.
I'm not killing them for anything. Like I would only be killing them because I think killing is fun at that point.
Right. I totally agree with that. I don't, I don't like, I don't think, the over farming of animals is, I don't appreciate that. I think that we should only farm animals for the sustainability aspect because it's just the course of nature. The hierarchy of the food pyramid, the humans are on top. so we're going to be the predators that, eat the animal. I mean, obviously we're not going to kill tigers because we don't eat them, but, technically we could because we're the top predator. So because it's the natural course of nature, that's just the way it's going to be. Now, if we did have that Star Trek computer, I'd look at somebody like you would and say, dude, why are you killing that animal? Because I do place value on animals because, yes, they do have life. But when we're looking at now, I think that, sustained farmability for the minimum required meat to sustain society for the time being is necessary.
Yeah, like
because,
I said,
not
I
everybody's
think that,
going
like,
to be vegan, and yeah.
I think more if we're looking at the moral decision, we probably ought be vegan. Like the is ought there, we probably ought be vegan. Just
Yes,
like if I'm
of
looking
course.
at the,
I can agree with
but
you on
again, that's because to me, animals are sentient. Well, not to me, but animals are. But that's because animals are sentient, so they gain a level of moral consideration that, again, I don't really give to fetuses, because fetuses don't have the ability for that. They don't have the brain structures required to be sentient until about 24 weeks. And then once they have that, I grant them a level of moral consideration until that sentience is permanently gone.
Okay. So I think even though we might, I will concede that maybe my beliefs of religion might have, crossed the boundary into this debate when I started out. But since can we just move on to a sentience debate, and then we can go into the more nuanced topics of abortion from your point
Sure,
of view,
but just
from 24
FYI,
weeks on?
sentience is only a principle in, like, I'm using it to combat your argument, but in my argument, it's just a principle about the type of abortion. I do believe that even if a creature is sentient, you can still have abortions that are justified.
Yeah, sure. So what abortions would be justified in that case?
Well, almost any, right? Like if somebody is sentient, I would say what justifies the abortion would be if you want to remove it, you can. You just do it without killing it. This would be a justified abortion. If there's a medical reason where you need to kill the fetus before taking it out, this would be justified. If like,
What do you mean remove it without killing it?
Both induction abortions and hysterotomy abortions can be done without killing the fetus. So you just take it out. When I define abortion, I use
what would be, maybe I'm less educated than I thought, what would be done with it after that?
Well, it's alive, so whatever you want. Send it off to college.
What week would this be? what month would this be? What week would this
24
be?
and up.
Like,
which at 24 weeks you have I think a 70% chance of survival. And then it jumps up to 80 at 26 weeks, I think.
So kind of, I'm no expert on this, but is this like a C-section type of thing, or
a hysterotomy is basically a C-section? Yeah, an induction abortion would just be inducing labor.
Right. So okay, if it's not being killed, then yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have any problem with it. I mean, if it's just the word abortion and the fetus or baby is not being killed, then I mean, inherently I wouldn't have a problem with it, as long as we would be able to go on and develop and grow into a human being. I mean, is that the case with what you're saying, or?
Well, yeah, I just define abortion as the removal of the contents of the uterus via medical means, right? That's just how I define abortion.
Okay, let's just debate on the termination of life when the fetus is aborted.
Well, then that would just be abortions prior to 24 weeks.
Okay, we're gonna have to regress then. Wait, so any abortions after 24 weeks, it's sustainable, and what are they putting into
currently in the U.S., abortions after 24 weeks are all done for medical reasons. So I've already said medical reasons I believe to be justified. So they're done.
Oh yeah,
because,
I mean, I do too. I think if the mother is in danger, then it's unfortunate, but that's the thing is, that's just gonna have to happen. There's it's like self-defense, right? When somebody breaks into your home, if they have a gun pointed at you, then you gotta shoot them because that's your life in danger, right? So that's kind of the thing we're looking at here. If the baby is gonna end up killing the mother because of whatever situation she's being put in, then that's what's gonna have to be done, right? Do you agree?
Yeah, I'd just say whatever the doctor tells you. At 24 weeks, it's up to you.
All right then.
But the reason why we typically don't see abortions, lethal abortions, besides medical reasons after 24 weeks is because, again, the doctors can just remove the fetus and just take it out. They don't have to kill it.
Okay then. I guess We're gonna have to regress back into the like pre-24 weeks area, but
Yeah,
so
prior to 24
you're
weeks, I think that abortion is justified because it's a rights violation. The fetus is using your body without your consent, and if you no longer consent to
wait, hold on.
something
Okay, there you go.
using your body,
So
you can
why
take
do
it
you
out.
think it's without your consent?
Why do I think it's without your consent? Because you
Yeah,
don't want it in there anymore, so therefore you don't
right.
consent
But
to it in there anymore.
when you have sex with somebody, like as soon as you have sex with somebody, you're consenting to becoming pregnant. Like
No,
that's just
no,
a fact.
you can acknowledge a risk, but it's not consent. First of all, consent has to be revocable at all times. So if I'm consenting to being pregnant, you have to consent to that pregnancy throughout the entirety of the 40 weeks, and that consent can be revoked at any time. Otherwise, it's not consent; it's
Wait,
force.
so if a woman consents to having sex with a man and then after it's all wrapped up and then they move on, like let's just say it's a one night stand type of thing, do you think that consent can be revoked after that woman
No,
leaves
because
his
the
apartment?
action is done, my guy. You can't consent. You can't
Right.
remove consent when the action is done. But the action of pregnancy is not done in this case. You can remove consent anytime
Right, but it's
during the action. So, for instance,
yes during the action. No, I agree. Of
if
course,
my
I agree on
sex
that.
lasts 40 minutes, I can remove my consent at any point in that 40 minutes. If my pregnancy lasts
Yes.
40 weeks, I can remove consent at any time in that 40 weeks. But you also don't believe in your heart of hearts that consent to action A is consent to outcome B, right? We understand that consent to an action is not consent to all the outcomes of that action. You can acknowledge the risks of those outcomes, but it's not consenting for those outcomes. Otherwise,
Just
every
that the
person that gets into a car
biological
accident
purpose
has
of sex
what?
is, well, yeah, I mean more specifically, like between a man and woman is for breeding to birth to end up pregnant. That's a biological purpose. Just because there are
That has not
pleasure
anything to
sensors
that has
nowadays.
nothing to do with consenting to an outcome of an action.
Yes, but the outcome is part of the process.
Do you know what
Like
the
just because you
likelihood
can
if I go and have
prevent it.
unprotected sex, do you know what the likelihood is that I get somebody pregnant? Like what the percentage
No,
likelihood
but
is? It's 5%.
I'm sure it's pretty high.
It's 5%.
Are we saying like you pull out, or are we saying you
No, no.
don't?
If you have unprotected intercourse, you were like with somebody one time, your 5% is the likelihood that you're going to get them pregnant.
I mean, I don't see the point of bringing in the percent because I
Well,
mean
because I'm just saying,
okay,
if you're going
fine.
to say that the purpose of sex is procreation, the purpose is this biological function is 5% seems pretty low, doesn't it?
Yes, but I mean there's a 5% chance. So because it's
Yeah.
possible, then yeah, that's the purpose.
Do you believe that that consent to action A is consent to outcome B?
Right, but I
Do
think
you,
we're disagreeing on the fact that it's two different process, like it's two different outcomes, or that the
wait,
outcome
I'm
is
sorry.
separate from the
The
process.
outcome is a separate thing, right? Sex would have multiple outcomes. One of those outcomes is pregnancy. Unless you get pregnant 100% of the time, every time you have sex, pregnancy is just one of the many outcomes.
Right, but but there's no other, like, yes, for pleasure, but the main, like,
It doesn't
you
matter
know,
if it's the main. Hold on. Do you believe? Let me just. Do you believe that consent to an action is consent to all of the outcomes of said action?
yeah.
Okay. Are you sure? You sure you want to stick with that?
You know what? Yeah, you're probably gonna get me here. I've seen you decimate people on the trans topic, so let's hear it.
Yeah. Okay. One of the outcomes of going on a blind date with someone you don't know is that you could get raped. Under your purview, you believe that consenting to the blind date is consenting to the rape because you believe that consent to an action is consent to all of the outcomes of said action. This is why this doesn't work and this logic doesn't hold up. Now, you can acknowledge that there are risks to actions. Absolutely. You can absolutely acknowledge that there are risks, but consenting to those risks, consenting to those outcomes is completely different.
Okay. Okay, fine. You know what? Yes, that makes sense. I will agree with you there. That does make sense. we'll go with the acknowledgement thing. So,
Okay.
but since you have to take that acknowledgement once you get pregnant, you know what? No, because you're just gonna be a part of the victim. God damn. That's a pretty good example, man. I gotta applaud you on that one. Let's see here. So yeah, okay. I'll just let you hear what I was gonna say, so you can laugh. So basically, I was gonna say, since you have to acknowledge it, then you have to deal with the consequence after. But then, since you brought out the rape thing, then you're just gonna say, yeah, but so you have to just deal with being raped. So obviously, no, that's a bad thing, right?
Yeah. And again, consent has to be an ongoing thing. So if I am saying, right, when somebody finds out they're pregnant, they now consent to that
Yes.
pregnancy. They have to go, okay, I am now saying that I am okay with and freely allowing myself to be pregnant. But you can
Right.
you can stop that at any point. You can say, okay, I don't like this. Let's say I get 6 weeks in and I go, I don't like this. I now do not consent for the thing inside of my body to use my bodily resources anymore. Great. And now, but
Okay.
because the
Okay.
only way
Wait.
to get it out is to kill
Yeah. Go
it.
ahead. I'll let you finish.
Well, I'm just saying the only way to get it out is to kill it, so we kill it, right? So we kill it and take it out.
Right. So
As soon as there's another way to take it out, we use that other way.
So okay, but since somebody is consented to, okay, so let's just take it a step further. When somebody has consented all the way through the pregnancy, and just because you birthed the being from you doesn't mean, yes, you can give it up for adoption, but let's just go with the route that somebody keeps the child. But let's just say around age 13 that they just hate that kid, man. They're just getting on their nerves, right? Do you think killing the kid is justified then?
Well, no, because you don't need to. So you don't need to kill it to end the rights violation. So, like, let's say you're a parent and you're like, I hate being a parent. Well, we give the child up. Give the child up for adoption. That's how you revoke your consent, right? When it comes to rights violations, right, the force has to be appropriate to the rights violation. I can't like stab someone in the neck because they're like poking me over and over again, right? It's just not like it's not appropriate. It's not an appropriate use of force in that, right? So this is why I say up to 24 weeks, do whatever type of abortion you want. I don't care. After that, you should do abortions that prioritize the life of the fetus, unless there's a medical reason why you can't do that.
I appreciate that, because some people just, they're very, they're very, I don't know the word on, they're horrible people, and they just say, no, just kill the baby, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good take. You know what? I really appreciated this, because it kind of seems that I've invested, but I mean, to be honest, like, it's kind of been more of a discussion so far. So, like, I see. I mean, you're like way better than most of the pro-choice like people who argument that I've seen, because you can actually like give me your argument in like semantics that are easily described. So your argument hinges on consent, correct?
Well, yeah, but it's just a bodily autonomy argument. Like that's the whole point of bodily autonomy, is that you get to consent to what does or does not happen to your body, as long as it does not violate another person's
but it's
rights.
not. But the fetus isn't a part of your body, though.
Correct.
So, like,
but we've been over this. The consenting is you taking it out of your body, you getting rid of it. It can't just use your body without your consent, right? And then as soon as you don't consent anymore, you can take it out. If it is the case that you can take it out without killing it, then you do it that way. If you can't take it out without killing it, then you do it that way.
okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of an impenetrable defense here. I think the whole thing here right now is just evolved into, well, not evolved. I think I've just been hearing you out, because, to be honest, we've kind of been, from the start, it's kind of been a disagreement on like the moral value because of my religious beliefs, which I should probably develop my argument past that. But to be honest, it's kind of hard to do so in this type of thing. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, you have a really good argument, man.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, good debate, bro. I appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too, man.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching this video, and I want to give a special shout out to my YouTube members. Their names are on the side. Membership starts at $2.99 a month, and you get early access to videos, exclusive members-only videos, and access to the Red Mirror Media Discord server. Thank you again to my members, and thanks for watching.